YouTube. This is Tyre Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys are doing well. Yesterday was a pretty active day for me, so by the time I got home, I meant to make a video, but I was so spent, I just knocked out. I just pretty much KO'd. So I do apologize, but we'll make up for it. But in the meantime, though, we're gonna get started with a weekly forecast, I guess you would call it. But there are some changes coming, and they could be seen as early as towards the latter half of the week. So we'll go ahead and get into that. We'll start out with one of the bigger things right now, and that's the severe weather threat. Right now, we have a few more marginal risks. Of course, when we get into the equinoxes and so on and so forth versus the solstice, usually we get more severe weather. Spring and fall often have changing of the air masses involved, and usually what ends up unfolding is with that collision of air mass and turning of the winds with height, we tend to get more severe weather. Just really just that simple. I mean, there's other parameters that go into it, but those are some of the main ingredients that you need, and they're a little bit more prominent during equinoxes. That being said, we have a marginal risk today. Threat's pretty much over for the most part, but over towards the mid-Atlantic and the Delmarva, possibly. But mainly towards DC and North Carolina, small chance of severe weather, mainly wind and hail. And then the same can be said around central and maybe as far as northwest Arizona. Mostly expecting heavy rain over here. Did have a few severe thunderstorm warnings earlier. We go to the day 2 outlook. And this storm system that I'll be talking about in a minute may bring some additional severe weather towards the New England region, the Long Island region, and some of these further north states like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut. You guys need to be on the lookout for some increased thunderstorm activity. There is even a small tornado threat, and that's another reason why I was going to get into that. But the main threat's going to be wind. Hail threat's going to be pretty subdued. But that's what we have going on there. On day 3, we don't have anything as of yet. But I will get into that a little bit more as a much bigger storm system may be looking to come in towards the end of the week. Alright, so we go through days 4 through 8. And we'll move on from there. So, interestingly enough, recently from days 4 through 8, we have been looking at all of them being potentially too low. But once we get to day 6 here's predictability too low. While we won't be able to see that far out today, due to the euro being during the 18th due to the fact that the 18th euro only goes out to about 90 hours. I'm not gonna be able to see that far. I may be able to get as far out as maybe early Friday morning, but as this day gets closer, I will be watching this really close. So rest assured, you will be informed on it if you watch on this channel. So days 6 through 8, though, interestingly enough, now we have predictability too low. So there's a chance of severe weather developing. Maybe even a few day 4 or day 5s may have a slight risk issued in advance, which will be really interesting. So we'll go ahead and get to it. I do anticipate a little bit more of an active pattern taking shape here. But we'll go ahead and take a look at what we might have ahead here. Alright, so this right here, we're looking at the vorticity map. This is high up in the atmosphere, about 500 millibars. This is about 40,000 feet plus. But if we look over here, you can clearly see this well-defined storm system that's hanging over here around this trough. This is going to be the catalyst for our storms tomorrow around New York City, the Long Island region, and into the vineyards. So we'll watch this scoot along here. Watch this thing spin. It starts to weaken a little bit, but right around the end of that, towards the evening and late night hours, I think there could be some pretty strong storms out ahead of this. I'd say towards rush hour, there could be a few strong storms. An isolated tornado can't be ruled out, but this is a pretty stout storm system for this time of year. And with the positioning of the jet stream being what it is. move this along. This gets kicked out. Things are calm until we get into, I would say, Friday. I could see kind of what may be the makings of our next storm system coming in. Maybe far off on the northeastern coast. Maybe Alaska's being affected by it, but it's kind of hard to say right now. I wonder if I could actually get a view of it. Actually, I might be able to. I'll try it again in another video, though. I don't want to have you guys jumping back and forth here. We can also take a look at just the straight up height map here. This also kind of represents where what the jet stream is doing, what both our jet streams are doing, because we do have two of them over the U.S. But this is the jet stream that we're most concerned about, and this is where we are concerned about the severe weather occurring. So just out ahead of it is where our threat is going to lie. And you can see on that southeastern end. So I'm kind of more concerned about the tornado threat being towards New York City, maybe stretching out towards the Long Island Strait here. And then this quickly becomes a damaging wind threat very quickly as we get towards the overnight hours. And then we have a ridge that redevelops over the southeast, so temperatures may very well start to go back up over here briefly. And then I'm gonna guess this is what's off the coast of the northwest here is going to be our next storm system. So we may cover that either tomorrow or Wednesday. We can clearly see the beginnings of a more active pattern taking shape just by the way the jet stream is shaped. And really, if I look at this a little bit more closely, even though I'm at the end of the model run, this jet stream looks like it takes a further plunge to the south, which will always bring cooler temperatures along with us. So we will have to be on guard for that over here. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and take a look at the lightning flash density here, and then we'll start looking at the temperatures and what radar could look like over the next few days. But oh wow, I don't know how we've jumped up that far. But okay, so this is what we're kind of looking at right now, I would say. Move this along, and no surprise here that activity will pick up a little bit more around this region. Storms aren't going to be very I'm trying to figure out the right word, but they aren't going to be solid in coverage. It isn't going to be a wide spanning type of situation. Storms are going to be relatively isolated, but you can see where these colors get a little bit more towards that red and maybe a little bit brighter, where we're expecting a little bit increased severe weather potential. And then as we go through Thursday and Friday, we kind of go into Wednesday here. Things are calm. On Thursday, we might have to watch towards North Dakota. Sorry guys, I'm tired. I'm sorry. So I'm just kind of having brain farts all over the place here. But we start to get into Friday here. We'll have to watch the Northwest, Midwest here for severe weather activity. Maybe towards the Central Plains. We'll have to nail that down, but we will probably touch up on this either tomorrow or Wednesday again, as I mentioned before. So let's go ahead and go to the temperature model. Trying to check on the video here. I'm trying to make this too long for you guys. Love to have this one under 15 minutes. Alright. So with this increased pattern, I do expect more cold fronts to come in. So as a result, there is some hope soon that we will start to cool off. And even when I look at it now, the temperatures have begun to drop off just slightly, especially towards the Midwest. In recent weeks, I had seen triple digits over here, whereas to now, I'm starting to see more 80s and 90s popping up and a little less triple digits, which is great news. And then even towards the southwest here, the desert southwest still will have 90s, but I'm seeing less triple digits. great news for a lot of people, especially if you like being outdoors. Maybe we're starting to trend towards conditions being a little bit more favorable for being out there. So slowly but surely this week it looks like there's a little bit of a cool down. Not a major one, but you're going to be able to tell a difference. I'll put it that way. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the precipitation type. And I also want to mention over towards the highest of elevations towards the Rockies, we've even had reports of snow so far. Our first snowfalls. So so interestingly enough, things do look like they seem to be progressing a bit here. So here's our storm system. This is what will be sparking our severe weather threat tomorrow. Kind of wondering if they'll go up to a slight risk. I'm not super optimistic, but this storm system looks moderately formidable. Nothing that just screams to me, oh, this is really dangerous, but you never know. And it's always these kind of storm systems that you have to be watchful of because they can always surprise you. And then we can see over towards the monsoonal valley, this or region, so to speak. We're getting some increased weather around there. I do think once again towards the highest of elevations there might be a chance of some snowfall. I don't expect too much accumulation out of it, but still, everyone always seems to love that first snowfall of the season. Whether you get snowfall as early as October or maybe as late as January or February even. It's always a big deal. So we'll move this further and further along. And for the most part, after Tuesday, the week is relatively quiet. There is a little bit of a storm system right here that I'll be watching to see what it does. But it doesn't really look super organized. It doesn't look too formidable. But can't let this go to the wayside here. Because watch, I'll say, oh, it's not anything. And then all of a sudden, the apocalypse happens. But I think that's it for this video here. Maybe not my best work, so to speak. But I'm trying to keep the content rolling for you guys. Thank you to everyone who watches. If you like what I did, drop me a like and give me some feedback even if you didn't like it. But yeah, this is Tiger Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys in the next video.